My friend, pay attention to this, because what's going on behind the scenes at the Eagles could change everything. You know that feeling when you feel like a bombshell is coming? Well, it is. 3 moves are gaining momentum, and all of them could directly impact our path to the Super Bowl. The first involves a defensive line monster who could become the new pillar of pressure. The second, a reinforcement to protect Hurts as he deserves. And the third, this could be the key to finally solving the hole in the secondary. If you know Howie Roseman's style, you already know. When he starts moving like this, big things are coming. This isn't a false alarm. It's a wake-up call from the Philadelphia reality. In just 3 days of training camp, an uncomfortable truth has begun to take shape. There are 3 key positions on the Eagles roster where no one has managed to establish themselves. And with Howie Roseman watching everything closely, history shows what could happen next. A summer trade that changes the fate of the season. The outside cornerback, safety, and right guard positions are officially on alert. And that's no exaggeration. Anyone who follows the practices knows that the replacements for veterans Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and Makey Becton haven't quite delivered yet. At corner, Kelly Ringo seems physically ready. He's an athletic freak, as Adoree Jackson put it. But our practices have been dominated by A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. The competition with Jackson is even. But Jackson isn't exciting either. He lost his starting spot in New York last year, and at 29 isn't a long-term solution. The situation is aggravated by Quinyon Mitchell's already established himself as a solid starter on one side. And that means that if the other side is weak, opposing offenses will always throw there. The Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. The Rams have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. The Buccaneers have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mitchell can't cover both at once. Without safety, the outlook is even more daunting. Sidney Brown is adapting after tearing his ACL at the end of 2023, and rookie Drew Mukuba, though talented, is still raw. Fangio believes in the potential of both, but their performances haven't yet materialized. Brown says he needs to be on the field to learn from his mistakes, but time is running out. And on the free agent bench, Justin Simmons, Fangio's old acquaintance from his Denver days, is free, with 2 Pro Bowls under his belt and a thirst for a fresh start. At right guard, the scenario is less dramatic. Tyler Steen hasn't yet convinced. Kenyon Green is returning from injury, and Matt Pryor is there to provide depth. But the truth is that with Mailata, Dickerson, Juergens, and Lane Johnson forming an elite line, time may mask a specific weakness there. Even so, the warning is there, and Roseman has 13 picks in the 2026 draft, enough trade capital to find any solution. He himself said, "We want to win now, next year, and in the future." And when Howie speaks, the NFL listens. And speaking of winning now, a newcomer might not even last until September. And we're not talking about just anyone. No one expected this. Joshua Uche, a high-impact reinforcement brought in to help the Eagles' pass rush, is being speculated by analysts as a potential shocking cut before the season. The reason? A sharp decline in performance and fierce competition. According to Pro Football Network's Jacob Infante, Uche appears to be the most surprising candidate to be cut from the Eagles' 53-man roster. And recent history supports the concern. After a brilliant 2022 season, with 11.5 sacks for the Patriots, Uche has plummeted. He had just 3 sacks in 2023 and just 2 in 2024, split between New England and Kansas City. The numbers speak for themselves. 23 tackles in 2024 compared to just 3 in 2023. His production doesn't justify the contract, nor does it guarantee roster space. And the detail that makes it all the more complicated, he's surrounded by hungry young players. Nolan Smith, Azeez Ojulari, Patrick Johnson, and rookie Jalix Hunt are all vying for space and showing their worth. If any of them shine in the preseason, Uche could be a casualty of the cleanup. It's true that the Eagles have a tradition of revitalizing veteran pass rushers. The hope with Uche was to replicate what they did with Hassan Reddick, for example. But so far, there are no signs of that happening. And with the roster needing adjustments in other, more cautious areas, like the secondary, freeing up space could be a strategic move. Furthermore, cutting Uche would open up financial space for something bigger, a bold move, as Roseman often does. And guess who's emerging strongly on the radar as a potential new defensive reinforcement for Philadelphia? A former first-round pick, young, versatile, and ready for a change. It's like a blessing from insiders who know Roseman's philosophy well. The Eagles' next trade may be closer than you think. Eagles fans, get ready. The moment to strike may be getting closer, and this time with a very specific target. The situation in Philadelphia's secondary is no secret. The outside cornerback position remains a weak point that worries the coaching staff, the front office, and of course, the entire fan base. With Quinyon Mitchell emerging as the undisputed starter on one side, the question remains, who will handle the pressure on the other side of the field? So far, the answer has been no one with complete confidence. Kelly Ringo, despite his physical potential and desire, is still wavering. Adoree Jackson, though experienced, is no longer the same player as he was in his prime and will turn 30 in September. In an age of big dreams, any weakness is an opening for opponents to exploit, and that's precisely precisely where the name gaining traction behind the scenes comes in. Greg Newsome II of the Cleveland Browns. Newsome, a first-round pick in the 2021 draft, is entering the final year of his contract, with the fifth-year option activated, worth approximately $13.4 million. This is particularly important information, especially for a franchise like the Browns, which is already investing heavily in Denzel Ward and needs to resolve the future of Martin Emerson, another starting corner. The math is simple. Cleveland could end up with 3 expensive players for 2 spots, and someone will have to leave. Among NFL insiders, the consensus is clear. Newsome is the top prospect to be traded, and this becomes even more likely considering that he lost cap space in 2024, was demoted to 3rd on the depth chart, and ended the season on injured reserve after a hamstring. It played 1,428 times at outside corner and 1,163 times at slot corner. This adaptability is exactly what Vic Fangio's defensive system seeks. With Cooper DeJean occupying the slot and Mitchell shining on the perimeter, Newsome would complete a respectable trio that would give the defensive coordinator tactical freedom. Furthermore, Roseman has repeatedly demonstrated his love for this type of profile. A young player with draft pedigree who lost the space and precision needed in a new scenario to revive his career. The trade for Jahan Dotson in 2024 was exactly this model, and it worked. With plenty of draft capital, 13 picks in 2026, salary cap space, and a glaring need on the roster, all the variables are aligned. This potential move also represents something bigger than simply filling a vacancy. Bringing in Greg Newsome now would send a clear signal to the entire roster and the fans. The Eagles are playing to win today. No safety nets, no betting on the future. The goal is Super Bowl 19, and they won't get there without a bulletproof secondary. Another important point, Newsome's arrival would take pressure off young players like Ringo and Ricks, who could develop more slowly. And even Adoree Jackson, if not traded, could offer support and selective rotation, without having to shoulder the responsibility of a direct duel with CeeDee Lamb or Mike Evans. The expectation is that if Ringo and Jackson don't show significant improvement in the upcoming practices and scrimmages, Roseman will, and quickly. August has always been a month of strategic negotiations for him, and with the regular season just around the corner, an important decision is approaching. If Howie Roseman truly believes this is a make-or-break season, what would be the most decisive move? Going all in on Christian Wilkins to dominate the trenches, trading for an experienced lineman like Ezra Cleveland to protect Jalen Hurts, or going all in on Greg Newsome II and transforming the defense's most vulnerable area?